I remember the day like it was yesterday, the kind of crisp autumn morning in rural Georgia, where the air smells like damp earth and fresh hay, and the sun filters through the pecan trees just right, casting long shadows over the fields. I'd been up since dawn, same as every day, tending to the old family farm that's been in our bloodline since my great-grandpa scratched out a living here, post-Civil War. Me, just Tom, pushing 48 now, with calluses thicker than my patience for city folk who think wide-open spaces are their personal playground. The farm's my sanctuary, acres of rolling pasture, a weathered barn that creaks like an old friend, and a gravel driveway that's seen more tractors than sedans. But that morning, as I sipped my black coffee on the porch, watching the mist lift off the pond, I spotted her, a sleek white Lexus, all shiny chrome and entitlement, crunching right up my fence line like she owned the horizon. She parked it bold as brass, right there on the grass verge I'd been reseeding for winter grazing. The driver stepped out, mid-50s, blonde bob helmeted with hairspray, yoga pants stretched over legs that hadn't chased a cow in their life, and a designer scarf fluttering like a flag of surrender to good taste. Karen, though I didn't know her name yet. She slammed the door, glanced at the new subdivision rising like a rash just beyond my South 40, those cookie-cutter McMansions with their HOA covenants tighter than a drum, and then, without a flicker of doubt, she vaulted the low split-rail fence, my fence, the one I'd mended twice last spring after a storm. She marched straight to the edge of my corn stubble, phone in hand, snapping pics like she was scouting for HGTV. I set my mug down slow, heart picking up a notch. Folks from the new development had been eyeing my land for months, whispering about expansion at the county meetings. But this was personal. "Hey there," I called out, ambling down the steps with my boots thudding soft on the dew-kissed grass. She whipped around, eyes narrowing behind oversized sunglasses, like I'd interrupted a private communion with the soil. "Ma'am, that's private property. Best turn around and head back to the road," she huffed, crossing her arms over a blouse that probably cost more than my monthly feed bill. "Excuse me? This is HOA jurisdiction. We're expanding the community parking for our annual block party. You must be new around here." New. I'd laughed inside, but kept it civil. Years of dealing with nosy realtors had taught me that. "Been here 40 years, ma'am. Name's Tom Harlan. This here's the Harlan farm, deeded back to 1867. That fence? That's the line. Your party's welcome to use the public lot down by the highway." Her lips pursed, the kind of sour pucker that said she'd already mentally fined me for the mud on my jeans. "Well, Mr. Harlan, if that's your attitude, I'll be speaking to the board. We don't tolerate squatters disrupting our aesthetics." Squatters. The word hung in the air like smoke from a bad burn. I watched her retreat to her car, tires spinning divots in my turf as she peeled out. By noon, my inbox pinged. An official-looking email from the Willow Creek HOA, subject line, "Violation notice. Unauthorized encroachment on community green space." Green space? I printed it out, chuckling as I filed it with the others. The one about my offensive rooster crowing at dawn. The complaint on my hay bales cluttering the view. These city transplants had rolled in 2 years back, bulldozing the old timber lot into their gated paradise, complete with rules on mailbox colors and lawn ornaments. My farm butted right up against it, a stubborn holdout of red clay and real work amid their vinyl siding dreams. I'd kept to myself mostly, waved at the kids on bikes, even sold eggs to a few wives who romanticized farm fresh. But Karen, she was the ringleader, I learned quick. Board president, self-proclaimed guardian of curb appeal, with a Facebook group dedicated to preserving our slice of heaven. That afternoon, as I hitched up the old Ford to haul fence posts, my phone buzzed again. Not the HOA this time. Deputy Ellis from the sheriff's office. "Tom, got a call about a trespass on Willow Creek property. Woman says you're blocking their event setup. Mind if I swing by?" Ellis was a good egg, born 5 miles from here, so I knew it was protocol, not suspicion. "Swing away, Ray. Coffee's on." He pulled up in his cruiser just as the sun dipped low, painting the sky in streaks of orange and pink. We leaned on the tailgate, swapping stories about the drought last summer when her Lexus reappeared. Karen, flanked by 2 board members, a balding accountant type and a pearl-necklaced retiree, stormed out, pointing accusatorily. "Officer." There he is, This man is illegally occupying HOA land. He's parked his farm equipment right in our designated overflow parking. Ellis raised a brow, glancing at my empty field. Ma'am, this is Tom Harlan's place. Been Harlan land since before your subdivision was a gleam in a developer's eye. Karen's face flushed, that scarf twisting in her fist like a noose. Nonsense. Look at the map. I have it right here. She thrust her phone forward, zoomed in on some glossy rendering where my south pasture blurred into their cul-de-sac. See, it's all connected. And he's not paid dues. The accountant nodded vigorously, like a bobblehead on a dashboard. Exactly. Fines are accruing. We had to call you to enforce. I stepped forward then, pulling a folded deed from my back pocket, the one laminated for just such occasions, yellowed edges whispering of generations. Deputy, if you'll take a look. Survey markers are still in the ground from '68. This here's my line, fence to fence. Ellis scanned it, nodding slow. Looks legit, folks. Tom's got the paperwork. Ma'am, you can't just claim land because it suits your party plans. Karen's eyes darted, landing on me with venom. This is outrageous. We're a community. He can't just hoard it all for cows. The retiree chimed in, voice quavering with faux outrage. It's unneighborly. What about our guests? Where will they park? I felt that old fire stir, the one that kept me fighting weeds and whims alike. You all got plenty of space in your own backyard. Hell, pave your lawns if you want, but leave my farm be. Karen straightened, dialing her phone with theatrical flair. I'm calling the sheriff himself. This isn't over, farmer boy. She wasn't bluffing. By evening, the story had metastasized. My Facebook feed, mostly John Deere memes and tractor pulls, lit up with shares from the Willow Creek group. Rogue farmer threatens block party. One post screamed, with a blurry pic of my barn edited to look like a fortress. Comments poured in, evict him. HOA strong. A few locals chimed in defense. Leave Tom alone, he's salt of the earth. But the vitriol drowned them out. I poured a whiskey neat, sat on the porch as fireflies blinked like hesitant stars, and wondered how a quiet life had tangled with this mess. My wife, Sarah, gone 5 years now from the cancer that hollowed her out, would have laughed. Give 'em hell, Tom, she'd say, her hand steady on mine during chemo nights. This farm was ours. Picnics by the creek. Christmases with the kids stringing lights on the silo. No spreadsheet queen was taking that. Next morning brought escalation, the kind that starts small but snowballs like a runaway hay wagon. I was in the north field dissing soil for rye cover crop. When the rumble hit, trucks not mine. 3 flatbeds from a landscaping outfit, HOA logos slapped on the sides, dumping gravel right along my fence. Karen directed them like a general, barking orders. Wider! We need spots for 50 cars. One crew guy hesitated, glancing my way. I killed the tractor engine, hopped down, wiping sweat with a bandana. Hold up there, fellas. That's my dirt you're burying. The foreman, a burly guy with a clipboard of his own, shrugged. Orders from the board, chief. They're paying double time. Karen sauntered over, arms akimbo. See, we're making it official. You'll thank us when property values soar. I radioed Ellis again, but he was tied up with a fender bender on the interstate. So I grabbed my phone, filmed the whole shebang, the gravel crunching under tires, Karen's triumphant smirk as she posed for a progress selfie. Posted it to the local farmers forum with a caption, HOA turning my pasture to parking lot. Who needs cows when you got cul-de-sacs? Views spiked, shares from neighboring counties. By lunch, a reporter from the Macon Telegraph rang, smelled a story on rural versus suburban sprawl. I gave her the rundown, deed in hand, no embellishment. Just want to farm in peace, ma'am. This ain't the Wild West. But Karen doubled down. That night sirens wailed, not for me, but close. A neighbor texted, your barn's on fire? Cops everywhere. Heart slamming. I floored the truck down the access road, gravel spitting. Smoke curled lazy from the roofline, but it was just a smudge. Overheated wiring from the old fluorescent I'd meant to swap. False alarm, thank God. Ellis arrived with the fire chief, who poked around and declared it electrical. No foul play. But there was Karen, at the edge of the glow from my headlights, wringing hands with the board. We smelled smoke from our side. What if it spreads? This is why we need control. The chief, a grizzled vet named Harlan, distant cousin, shot her a look. "Ma'am, Tom's place is up to code. Yours truly." Word spread faster than the smoke. The next day, my driveway filled, not with gravel, but cars. A dozen locals. The widow Jenkins from the feed store, old Mr. Ruiz with his vegetable truck, even the mayor's aide sniffing for votes. They parked proper, on my actual drive, bearing casseroles and pitchforks of support. "Heard about your parking lot war," Jenkins said, handing over a bubbling shepherd's pie. "Ain't right. Them city slickers thinking they can annex your birthright." We gathered in the barn, lanterns flickering against the rafters, sharing beers and beefs. Ruiz spun yarns of his own battles with developers back in '98, when they tried eminent domain on his orchard. "Papers, Tom, and people. That's your armor." Inspired, I dusted off the family Bible, tucked in the loft, pages brittle with deeds interleaved like pressed wildflowers. There it was, the original grant, ink faded but fierce, signed by some long-dead governor. I scanned it to a lawyer buddy in town, one who'd handled my Sarah's estate. "Ironclad," he emailed back. "File for an injunction. Make it public." Meanwhile, the block party loomed, Saturday full regalia. Bounce houses spilling onto my line, string lights dangling over the fence like invasive vines. Karen's doing no doubt to stake her claim. Friday eve, the showdown brewed. I reinforced the fence with fresh rails, the scent of pine sap sharp in the twilight. Headlights pierced the dusk, Karen's Lexus followed by a sheriff's SUV. Not Ellis this time. A greenhorn deputy badge gleaming new. She led the charge, waving a sheaf of papers. "Officer, arrest this man. He's barricading community access." The deputy, kid couldn't be 25, fumbled his notepad. "Ma'am, what's the complaint exactly?" Karen thrust the docs forward. A mocked-up, amended covenant, claiming my land via some loophole in the subdivision plat. "See, it's ours by association." "He's defying the board!" I stepped from the shadows, calm as the creek after rain, Bible deed in hand. "Deputy name's Tom Harlan. Owner here since before your mama changed your diapers." He took the document, eyes widening at the seals and stamps. Karen snatched at it. "That's forged." But he held firm. "Looks official." "And this fence, private property marker." Her voice cracked then, the first real fracture in her armor. "But the party, our guests, you can't just—" The deputy radioed it in, voice steady. Dispatch crackled back. "Confirm Harlan deed. No violations. Advise complainant to vacate." She deflated, shoulders slumping as the weight of her bluff crashed down. The board lurked by her car, whispering frantic. I almost felt sorry, almost. "Ma'am, you want parking? Pave your own regrets. This land's fed families, buried heroes. It ain't a spot for your wine coolers." The deputy nodded my way. "All clear, Mr. Harlan. Sorry for the bother." As they retreated, taillights fading into the HOA glow, a cheer rose from the barn, my impromptu allies spilling out, toasting with mason jars. Ruiz slapped my back. "You showed him, hermano. Roots run deep." Word of the standoff hit the wires by midnight. The Telegraph ran front page. "Farmer foils HOA land grab." Comments flooded, not just locals, but from Atlanta exurbs, folks tired of the creep of covenants into countryside. Shares hit thousands. My little farm video going viral on that entitled people subreddit some kid had shown me. "Puis, you're the Karen who picked the wrong fence." One top post quipped with my gravel dumping clip embedded. Donations trickled in, seed money they called it, for Harlan Farm Defense Fund. I laughed, wiring it to the food bank instead. No need for war chests. The real win was the quiet reclaiming. Saturday dawned golden party day. I fired up the grill instead, inviting the crew for a real hoedown. No bounce houses, just bluegrass from the radio and ribs slow smoked over hickory. The HOA side thrummed with bass and laughter, but their overflow stayed empty, gravel gleaming mocking under the sun. A few guests wandered over, curious strays. A young couple with a toddler, escaping the synthetic cheer. "Heard the story," the dad said, accepting a plate. "Man, that woman's intense. Sorry about the hassle." His wife eyed the pasture. "This place, it's alive. Not like our yard." We talked late into the dusk about soil health, the therapy of tilling, how cities forget the ground beneath. Come Monday, The board convened emergency. Leaked minutes hit my inbox via an anonymous tip. Karen resigned in a huff, citing hostile environment. The new prez, that accountant, sent a groveling note. Miscommunication. Let's collaborate on boundaries. Collaborate. I framed the letter in the kitchen, next to Sarah's recipe cards. Boundaries were the point, after all. Not walls, but the invisible lines of respect, etched by sweat and seasons. Months on, the farm heals. New calves dot the fields, buttery coats catching the light. The HOA's lights twinkle neighborly now, occasional waves exchanged over the fence. Karen spotted her Lexus for sale online. Headed for a condo in Savannah, I reckon. Someplace with valets, no dirt to conquer. Me, I plant deeper, root stronger. 'Cause in the end, land ain't just soil. Story, stubborn and sacred. And if another Karen comes calling, well, the deed's ready, coffee's hot, and the fireflies stand witness. But wait, that wasn't the end. Not quite. Turns out Karen's exit stirred the pot further. A week after her resignation, I got a certified letter from a firm in Atlanta. Lawsuit threat claiming defamation over the viral video. Emotional distress, it droned, demanding 50 grand to settle. I showed it to the lawyer, who snorted over his cigar. Bluff. First Amendment shields truth-tellers. Still, it gnawed. Nights when the wind howled through the eaves, I'd pace the porch, wondering if peace was just a truce. The kids called from college worried. Dad, sell out. Get a place in town. But sell? This farm was Sarah's laugh echoing in the wind chimes. My boy's first steps in the furrows. No, we countersued pro bono through the ag co-op. Negligent trespass, property damage from the gravel. Discovery unearthed gold. Emails from Karen to the board. Plotting annexation via forged surveys. Even a side deal with the landscaper for kickbacks. Make it look official, one read. The accountant flipped first, spilling to our side for immunity. Court date loomed in spring. But before hammer fell, Karen folded. Another letter, this one from her own counsel, dropping claims and paying my fees. Personal matters, the note said. I heard whispers. Divorce papers, her hubby tired of the crusades. The hearing, when it came, was anticlimax. A quiet chamber in the county seat, wood-paneled like an old confessional. Judge Harlan, no relation but kin in spirit, read the settlement, nodded grave. Land's the soul of Georgia, folks. Treat it sacred or it bites back. Outside, press waited. Not just local now, but a crew from Atlanta News, hungry for the David versus Goliath angle. I waved him off gentle. Just a farmer, ma'am. Stories write themselves. Viral fame lingered odd, like an uninvited guest at supper. Entitled people crowned me a sub-legend. Fan art popped up of me as a pitchfork-wielding cowboy. Karen as a clipboard dragon. Donations swelled the fund proper. I fixed the barn roof, bought solar for the well pump. Even started a podcast, Fence Lines, chatting with folks battling their own encroachments. A Montana rancher versus wind farm suits, a Florida widow holding mangrove from developers. Listeners tuned in by the thousands, sharing tales that mirrored mine, the quiet fury of love for place. One caller stuck, a woman from Willow Creek, voice trembling. I'm the pearl lady from the board, Karen. She scared us all into line. But seeing you stand, woke something. We talked an hour. Forgiveness ain't forgetting, but it's fertilizer for new growth. She runs their green committee now, planting natives along the shared line. Black-eyed Susans nodding to my wildflowers. Years blur now, but the farm endures. Grandkids toddle the rows, learning names of soil and sky. The HOA evolved, fewer rules, more potluck spilling over fences. Karen? A Christmas card once, postmarked Savannah. Water under the bridge. Happy holidays. I burned it in the fire pit, ashes scattering to the wind. Bridges are for crossing, not burning, but some lessons smolder eternal. And if you think that's wrapped tidy, life's got one more twist. Last harvest, as combines hummed gold under harvest moon. A realtor knocked, same slick suit from the subdivision days. Tom, ever reconsider? Prime spot for luxury estates. I handed him a bushel of heirloom tomatoes, juice staining his cuff. Son, this ain't for sale. It's for sowing. He left chuckling, but I saw the respect flicker. Roots run deep, after all. Deeper than any parking space dream. So here's to the land that holds us, the fights that forge us, and the Karens who remind why we dig in. What's your story, friend? That fence you mended, that line you held? Spill it in the comments. Let's till the comments section together. If this tale tugged at your dirt-loving heart, hit like, subscribe for more from the front lines of real America. Until next harvest,